Hey folks, Malforian here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're covering Economy Part 1, the latest dev diary for Millennia. Obviously there's a lot to go over with the economy, how it works, how the different systems work, and how the different ages and things like that can affect it in the game. So this first dev diary is basically going to give us the basics. As they say here, ever since they early concepted the game, having a rich and deep economic system was one of their primary goals. They wanted to make you think a little bit more about the economy than you might do in other 4X or grand strategy games. And from what we've seen so far, that is the case. We've covered it a few times. They don't want it to just be, you have a lumber mill that gives you production, and then that production you can use it the same as you would do in something like Civilization or something like that. So whether your path to victory is through raising massive armies, rushing the tech tree, or securing your cultural prominence, doing any of those things will require a strong economy to be successful. Econ 101. Right at the start, the basics. At the heart of the economy are your regions, which house your population. So that's basically the land you own. As you can see on this very nice screenshot actually here, this shows Visby, Uppsala, Skara. Uppsala is their capital, and then you can see they've got some other ones around on the left-hand side as well. So obviously all these icons are different things. There's some grain going on here. There's some sheep or cattle, looks like some grapes or something as well. They're kind of standard 4X different things. Looks like maybe gold down here, stone. Oh no, this is grapes here, so I'm not sure. This might be some other kind of herbs or plants or something like that. And yeah, so that's how it looks on the map, and that is obviously matching what they are talking about with the regions. That's basically what the regions look like on the map. Your population lets you work the tiles controlled by the region, generating resources directly or goods that convert back into resources at the end of the turn. There are many paths to a bountiful economy. More population let you work more tiles, more advanced goods which convert into more valuable resources, or just expanding to control more regions in the first place. As they say, lots of different ways. You could just go crazy, have a big population, work more tiles, get more resources that way. You can invest in your economy, have more advanced goods which give you more resources, or you can just control more and more regions, and that by kind of default gives you more stuff because you have more land. Three different main ways you can kind of use the economy to your advantage. How you assign your workers gives you a lot of flexibility about what you're actually generating each turn. When there's a war going on, sometimes extra production to finish a new unit is more important than growing your population. You can manually control each worker's assignment, but if you prefer to just focus on the big picture, the game will make sure no worker is left idle at the end of a turn. Very much, again, like Civilization, you can let the AI just auto set out your workers, and I guess it'll kind of pick what it thinks is best. Or you can manually, I want 3 workers, I guess, on the wheat fields because I want to get my population bigger, or maybe in another place. Okay, don't go on the wheat fields, go into the mines, and this city or this area of my region I want to be giving me production rather than population growth. So as we thought, you can do it both ways. You can leave it kind of automated, or you can put some effort in and kind of fine tune it as much as you want to do. Some parts of your economy generate passive income as well. For example, you could construct a town center for +1 government XP per turn. There are many technologies and ideals that give you income directly or for each region you control. When creating a wide nation, these per region bonuses are important as they scale up dramatically. So yeah, thinking if you're going to play wide or you're going to play tall. I know people prefer one or the other. I'm more of a wide player, I think. I'm either wide or a turtler. I kind of expand, but probably more slow than I should. Whereas you can obviously just play tall, have very few settlements, but really invest in them. So it does look like in this game you can pick from a couple of different ways to kind of play out if you want to play that tall or wide gameplay, which is cool to see because I know some people prefer one over the other. So they're going to go on to the details now. So national resources. These are all tracked and accumulated on the national level, pooling income from all your regions together. They generally carry over from one turn to the next. Knowledge, which is this book icon, used to develop technologies which give you bonuses and unlocks as well as let you progress through the ages. In a game about moving through thousands of years of progress, this is always an important resource to focus on. I would imagine this is the one you are going to invest in the most because getting through those ages, picking up the technologies they give you probably are more valuable than the others, but I guess it depends how your gameplay is carried on in your certain campaign. Culture, the very nice sculpture here. Each time the culture meter is filled up, you gain 1 culture power, which provides a wide range of potent effects from instantly mustering armies, expanding your regions, or change your government. Each time you use a cultural power, the cost of the next one increases slightly. Managing your culture when you have a lot of regions can be quite challenging, but many of the culture powers provide bonuses you cannot access in any other way. So if you have that larger realm, if you are playing wide, You're going to have to put some stuff into culture, get these bonuses, and that's going to help you keep your empire together. You know, you're not getting rebellions and things like that, I would imagine, happening when you're busy doing other things that you don't want to be doing. Wealth. If you want to maintain a large standing army, you'll need plenty of wealth to pay for upkeep of your units. Some elite units require a great deal of wealth to maintain, whilst others are much more affordable. As you progress in the game, you'll unlock the ability to use wealth to rush projects and regions or towards your next cultural power. So again, different ways you can play. You could focus on production, but I guess you could focus a little bit more on wealth. You could have bigger armies, you can expand. Yeah, your production is going to be less, but you could then use your additional wealth to rush progress in regions, or as it says, unlock those cultural powers. So maybe you don't invest in culture quite as much, and then use gold later on to kind of catch up a little bit if you have invested a lot in gold making. And then the next one is improvement points. These pretty much do right what it says on the tin. You use them to build improvements. Improvements let you get much more out of your workers and are the primary way you get and convert goods. Later in the game, you'll also encounter specialists, which function similarly, but represent the requirements of a more educated workforce as opposed to pure infrastructure. And in the Age of Alchemy, which is one of the kind of like alt ages that they have, you might find yourself in need of something rather more exotic. Oh, interesting. I wonder if you like dig up like things to make alchemy potions or something. I don't know. It sounds cool anyway. It'd be interesting to see how it does play differently in these different ages as well. And then domain XP, this is the last one. Each of the 6 domains of the game, exploration, warfare, engineering, diplomacy, and arts, has its own resource. There's a lot of resources in this game, actually, by the looks of it, representing your nation's expertise and preparation in that domain. They are used to both use domain powers, like spawning settlers, artists, and other units, as well as purchasing new ideals for your national spirits, which can provide extremely powerful specialized bonuses, which they have shown some of them off. These national spirits are really one of the kind of pillars of the game. This is how you're going to get a lot of bonuses out of there. Again, you could probably pick a national spirit that focuses on a certain way and then use domain XP to get bonuses from there, which make up for you not investing in some other area like production or something like that. So again, with these different systems, it looks like you can kind of play the game in a lot of different ways and kind of get to the same outcome at the end, but you've just got there in different ways from kind of specializing in each of these systems in different ways. And the next one, we've got regional resources. These are generated by and used with a specific region. They generally do not carry over from one turn to the next, but instead are used immediately. So production, the old hammer in the hand. Each region can produce one thing at a time, usually a unit or building. Each turn, your production is applied to the current build in a process that should be quite familiar to most 4X gamers. I would say that's the case. If you've played any 4X game, you've seen this system. Regions can work on projects, which let you convert your production to other resources instead of building a new thing. Again, a different way to use one system to kind of augment a different system in the game as well. And then we're on to influence, a rather nice crown. By generating influence, a region can control more territory in the world map. There are many factors that control which specific tiles are acquired, such as town placement, geography, and technology, but they all start with influence. Well-developed, high-population regions require a lot of space for all their improvements. This is important if subtle resource to manage. And then the last one here is needs, which is actually going to get covered a little bit more as we go down. There are a wide variety of resources that regions use to keep their population satisfied. Early on, it is met by food and housing, but by the end game, large regions require education, ideology, and much more. Meeting the needs of your region grows your population, which in turn could cause them to have more types of needs. So kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of, I've made them happy. Oh, there's more of them. Oh, now they need more things to keep being happy. You're kind of building on kind of work for yourself in the future. So there we go. Yeah, there's 3 regional resources as well as the game kind of as well as the empire-wide one. And then needs, as they mentioned above, needs are worth describing in a bit more detail because they are such a key concept in the game. There are 9 types of needs in total, and how well your population grows is directly determined by overall needs satisfaction, which is simply the average of all the individual's needs. If you meet the need at 100%, your people will have their basic requirements met. Slow and steady growth will occur, but if you provide 200% satisfaction, you can grow a region much, much faster. Of course, the converse is also true, as a region with less than 100 will not only cause your population to decrease, but have other negative effects for your region. I would imagine as they're not getting fed and kind of sustained properly, maybe production falls, influence falls, I would think it would affect those systems above. It would make sense if that was the case. 5 needs are food, housing, sanitation, luxury, and education, and are all triggered simply by hitting various population thresholds in a region. For example, sanitation only becomes required once you have 10 population, The other 4, faith, power, ideology, and information, are more conditional, activated based on external factors such as religion or government. So you're not always going to have all of them. Almost all needs grow directly with your population, so managing a full set of needs on a very large region can be quite challenging. Vassals have a key advantage that they don't need to manage their needs at all. The autonomy provided to a vassal lets them grow at a steady pace without any guidance. So that does cover why you might potentially keep vassals independent and not integrate them into a region or make them a new region. I think you can do either. I can't remember. It's been a while since that dev diary, but this is another reason why you might just leave vassals independent. There are some bonuses you can pick up to keep them independent vassals, and they give you different bonuses. But then also here, you're not having to feed them, fulfill their needs. They're basically autonomous and they just take care of that themselves. You're not having to deal with that as well as your own population in the way this game kind of works. It does get a little bit complicated still with the regions, the towns, the vassals and things like that. But basically, as they say here, if you don't integrate them, it can have some benefits. You don't have to fulfill their needs and they're still giving you kind of the output or a percentage of that output. And then next we're on to goods. While resources are directly gathered via forage on unimproved tiles, the building and passive bonuses, any advanced economy is going to run mainly on goods. Goods represent a wide range of things, from raw materials to advanced consumer products, and there are about 130 different goods, which they mentioned, I think, in the last dev diary. There was a lot of these different goods you can do, and obviously the tree of how you make them is not like super complicated, but it's not as easy as you just find a good on a tile and then you just get it. There are these different ways you kind of have to work around and do it. I'm not quite sure, obviously, what the 130 different goods are, but you know, it does sound like you can have those basic ones and then build up to more complicated ones that give you more and more bonuses. Each type of good has a different consume value, which is what you get at the end of the turn if you don't use it for anything else. Many goods even give you multiple types of resources when consumed. Oh, that's cool. Goods come from various sources, but the most common way to get them is work improvements. For example, direct forage from a grassland tile gives you 2 food, but if you build a farm on it, you instead get 1 wheat worth 4 food. Oh, I see. That's what they're talking about before. I was a little bit confused about goods giving you different types of resources. So it's not just you get 2 food, and then if you build a farm, it just gives you 4 food. It instead gives you 1 wheat, which is worth 4 food. It doesn't just give you more food. It gives you a different resource that then gives you food. It's an interesting way of doing it. I wouldn't have thought of that, to be honest. I would have thought, much like many 4X games, it just multiplied the food you got, but it actually gives you a different resource that then gives you food. I'm sure somebody can let me know of a game. Actually, come to think of it, does Civ work that way? No, I don't think it does it? I think it just gives you more food to wheat tiles. It doesn't give you wheat. Well, it kind of does, but not in the same way, I don't believe. Finding bonus tiles in the world can take this even further. Building a farm on a wheat bonus gives you 2 wheat from the same farm for a total of 8 food. So obviously, that's where you want to specialize on these tiles a little bit, get the maximum out of it that you can. To really get the most value out of your goods, however, you want to convert them into more advanced types of goods. The aforementioned wheat, which will give you 4 food, which can be turned into flour at the mill, which will give you 8 food. So again, it's gone from, you know, that tile giving you 2 food, if it was just a basic tile, to it now giving you 4 food, and then turned to flour 8 food. So you're getting 6 extra from kind of the same tile, if you think of it that way. And each mill provides capacity for converting up to 2 units of wheat. Pursuing advanced good chains can be extremely efficient, but they require investment to build the right improvements, as well as enough workers available to operate each step of the chain, which I think is where the education is going to come in. I would imagine things like the granary or the bakery or something like that will require slightly more educated people, maybe. It's not going to be as easy as just throw the same level workers into everything. I wouldn't have thought so anyway. And there we go. Another UI that I don't think we've seen so far. Not in the dev diaries anyway. They might have shown it elsewhere, but in the diaries themselves, they actually haven't, I don't believe. And there we go. Yeah, the different things here. They've got mills, ovens, obviously for turning the flour into bread. Got pastures here, clay pit, a kiln, which is turning the clay into bricks, I would imagine, or some kind of construction material maybe. And then the forester getting turned into a saw pit. And then a dwelling here as well, and a midden, which looks like it's like a mini aqueduct or something like that. And then some unimproved land, just some forests, some grassland, hills, and scrublands. So you can see already from this, kind of these production chains, there's 3 here, there's another 2 here, another 2 here, and then these are obviously just a dwelling and a midden, so that's population related. And then these tiles, as I said, not been improved yet. Obviously, you could build some improvements on there, get some resources, all that good stuff, as they've mentioned. Which chains of goods you decide to invest in makes a huge difference in how your strategy in Millennia will play out. Natural spirits can modify the value of some goods, and some chains are even more efficient if you have the right bonus tiles available. You can also use goods to make both foreign and domestic trade, but we'll get into that in a future dev diary. I imagine they'll have a dev diary maybe specifically about different foreign interactions and things like that. But I imagine trade might be in like a diplomatic dev diary or something like that they'll get to in the future. And then next we're on to workers. We are near the end, guys. So as always, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here. I'm covering all the dev diaries for Millennia and some other videos as well about it and other historical strategy games. But let's just get into the end bit here. So workers, you may have noticed that this overview of the economy refers to both population and workers somewhat interchangeably. Early in the game, these concepts are the same. Each population provides exactly one worker, so a region with 3 population can work exactly 3 tiles. However, as you get deeper into the game, a few things change up this dynamic. Around the middle of the game, depending on which specific ages you've chosen in a given game, higher levels of industrialization become possible. This is reflected in a few different ways in the game: efficiency, costs, and power requirements. But one unique thing that industrialized improvements is that they allow multiple workers to be assigned to the same improvement. For dense, highly developed regions, this can make significant difference on how you build up your economy. To take advantage of those goods chains, you may need to retool your infrastructure significantly. Also, you can put like, I don't know, like the wheat field, and you can put 3 workers on there. I guess that's kind of cool, because then you don't need 3 separate wheat fields. You're basically combining it all into one wheat field and getting the same amount of output as the 3 fields would have given you before, which I guess is how industrialization worked. That is the big benefit of industrialization. You get more from the same kind of space and things like that. Kind of cool, again, how that's going to be in the game. In later ages, economies of scale are represented by bonus workers. Regions with large populations start getting workers at better than 1-on-1 ratio. For example, at 20 population, you might not get just the 20 workers available from the population, but 2 bonus workers, 1 for every 10 population. Getting the right technologies and ages can push that even further, giving a nice bonus to late game mega regions. If you do want to play wide, have a lot of population, you kind of get constant bonus by having more and more people. Obviously, you've got to balance that with fulfilling their needs, so it's not as easy as, well, I'm just going to have like 100 population, and that gives me 10 free population. It doesn't work like that. Well, it does work like that, but then you've got to, obviously, those 100 people want all their needs fulfilled and all that other good stuff. Again, it doesn't look like it's as easy as, well, I'm always going to do that because I'm always going to get these bonus workers. There are reasons why maybe you can't afford to do it that way. Or at least that's kind of how it's looking from what they've mentioned previously. And there we go. That's basically it for the dev diary. As I say here, from a design perspective, it's been fun and challenging for them to make an economic system that fits the scope of a 4X that covers all of history, which is probably a, I don't know, like a thing you could easily overlook. The fact that this goes from, what, like the Stone Age up to the modern age. Having a system that covers all them is pretty difficult. It would be easy just to kind of leave things relatively simple, kind of have them broadly cover that history, but it does look like with these different stages, like industrialization and things like that, it's not just a simple modifier. There are going to be different ways and these different ages that affect your output and economy in different ways. That is a big thing about it. You know, these different systems over these different courses of history are going to play out in different ways as well, which is going to make your campaigns more fun, more varied, and that's going to keep you playing the game, isn't it, to be honest? So hopefully it does work out well, because it does sound like there's a lot of replayability here. A lot of different ways you can get to the same outcome as we mentioned previously. And then, yeah, as they mentioned at the beginning, this is only part 1 of their look at the economy. There's a lot to cover. There's trade, merchants, outposts, trade specializations, and more. And I guess some of those are going to be covered in the next dev diary. Wait, no. It isn't going to be covered in the next dev diary. Bit of a swerve here. I thought obviously part 1 and part 2 would come after each other, but until then, you'll see them next time to discover specifically how ages work. I think I mentioned, well, we'll find out next dev diary, but we actually won't. The next one's going to be about ages, which is awesome. We have seen some stuff about ages, but they're going to go into specifics about how they work. I guess how you could trigger the different ages and how the ages kind of work into each other and things like that. And then I guess in the future, we are going to get the economy part 2. And maybe part 3 or part 4, who knows? If you want to find out what's in those, well, you could read the dev diaries, or you could listen to me read them and give my unique insight and some, you know, banter along the way. So hit like if you've enjoyed today's video and subscribe if you're new here. I cover a wide range of historical strategy games, a lot of Crusader Kings and Millennia up to launch. Going to cover all the dev diaries and do some discussion videos, all that good stuff. And then we're also at the moment playing the Civilization monthly special event and things like that. There's always something going on the channel, so if you like that kind of stuff, hit subscribe. It's free to do so, and it helps me more than you would probably think. On that note, we're going to leave it there for today. I'll see you in the next one.